All right, well, I just want to make a little video to talk about your first assignment, which you will need to prepare and complete before you complete the quiz on FOL. About half the questions on FOL will be based off of the actual assignment and the results from it. So if you go to your content section, and then under review assignments, you'll see assignment number 1. I'll actually change my view to view as a student, so it looks like what you would see. So under review assignments, assignment 1, you'll see currently 4 documents, and I'll be adding this video within this section once it's saved. What you want to do is go through the introduction. So if we pull that up for a moment, there is a few slides that talk about what this individual review assignment is about. So it introduces the owner, being Bryson Woods, of this travel and tour company. And he's hired you to complete some transactions for the month of September. So we've itemized what the steps are. You'll enter the opening balances as we've done in chapter 4 and beyond. You'll journalize and post a bunch of transactions provided. You'll update the general ledger balances to create the unadjusted trial balance. You'll then enter the adjustments as covered in chapter 5 following that process and complete the worksheet. Then you record those adjustments in the journal and post to the GL. You will then prepare the financial statements, being the income statement, the statement of changes in equity, and the balance sheet. And lastly, you will prepare the closing entries, which we will cover in chapter 6 as well. And we will assume that the company uses the income summary method, which will make more sense once we complete chapter 6 next week. And lastly, you will prepare the post-closing trial balance. So once you've closed off all the accounts, again, that's following chapter 6 logic. Once you do those processes, those steps, there is a checklist file, which I'll show you in a moment, and that'll help guide you to see, whether you've done things correctly or not. So we've provided you some key points just to check to see where you may have gone right or wrong. Once you've completed that, keep that handy, because when it comes to the FOL quiz that you will write, what date is that? Sorry, I don't have it handy. The last week of October, and I'll look at that date and post it with it. You will need this assignment as reference, because about half the questions will be based on that assignment, as I said. The other half will be based on some theory from chapters 1 to 6. Lastly, I am available to check your work. So if you're curious, you can feel free to reach out if something doesn't make sense. If you're way off the checklist or you just have questions about it, feel free to reach out. And just as far as timelines, obviously the assignment has opened this week. Checklist is available, but the test is in 2 weeks in week 8. Go back to the assignment 1. There are 2 different versions of the actual assignment. There's an Excel version if you'd like to download it and type it in Excel on your computer, or there's a PDF version if you'd like to print and fill it out with pen and paper. I know when you're first learning accounting, often the PDF version is easier. So in this file, they're the exact same layout, just a PDF version of Excel. You're given the balance sheet as of August 31st, which is your opening balances for September. You're given the chart of account information, a bunch of transactions for September. Then you're also giving some adjusting journal transactions. So you've got 5 adjusting components, and then the steps are repeated here on this first page. You are given journal sheets, okay? And then if you keep scrolling through the file, you have your general ledger tables. So we've already labeled the accounts. Obviously, you would complete by putting the number there from the chart of accounts, and then any transactions that you journalize. We'll keep scrolling, all the GLs. Then we have the worksheet, which so far as of chapter 5, we've introduced the first 3 sets of columns where you have the unadjusted trial balance, the adjustments, and then the adjusted trial balance. And then chapter 6, we'll talk about how to complete the 10-column worksheet. So it'll include the income statement and balance sheet components. Those will make more sense next week if you haven't looked ahead already. There's another journal sheet for closing entries. Again, it doesn't matter if you put it on the first journal sheet or this one. I'm not marking this assignment. It's for you to use for your quiz. And then there's some templates for what the income statement might look like. Statement of owner's equity, so you have to fill it out. What items go on those statements? So which categories of accounts go into the different statements? And then the balance sheet. And then this is where your closing entries go. other journal page actually is recommended for your adjusting journals, which are right below the worksheet. Okay. So if I go back into here, back under assignment number 1, the checklist. So once you've done the best of your ability and you're wondering if you're accurate, here's a checklist of probably about 8-10 different points of data that you should have. So once you've recorded the various transactions, cash account should be 63,327 as a debit balance, etc. So you should be able to hopefully match those figures. And again, once the quiz is created, I'll confirm the date hopefully in the next day or so. Once the quiz is created, it'll show up under evaluations quizzes. It's not there yet, but it'll show up and open the day of the quiz, which I will post shortly. All right, and good luck. Again, reach out. You can feel free to work with each other, but I encourage you to do your own work, but just work together because you will need to answer the quiz on your own. All right, take care. Hopefully this little recording helps.